Hello and welcome to today's Vivid presentation on digital transformation with HP Enterprise Cloud Management. This webinar is brought to you by Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. I'm your host, Milan Danrell, with Machine Data Systems, an HP partner, and I'm also the Toronto Vivid chapter leader. Our speakers today are Danny Cavillon, who's Director of Cloud and Automation Management for HP Enterprise, and Mark Burness, who's DevOps and Cloud Solution Architect for HP Enterprise. Danny is the Business Development Director with HPE Software in EMEA, focusing on automation and cloud solutions such as orchestrated data center, cloud management, and continuous delivery and deployment. Mark has worked as a pre-sales with large enterprise customers for more than 20 years to define and deliver IT strategies and solutions, bringing deep expertise in architecting software components for cloud computing and DevOps solutions. So we're very pleased to have both of them available to speak with us today. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available to all Vivid members after the webinar. So your lines will be muted, but you can ask questions by typing them directly into the questions pane in the control panel, which is typically located on the right-hand side of your screen. If you're not familiar with GoToWebinar, all of the features and functions for participating in the webinar are on the control panel, which is typically located on the top right corner of your screen. You can mute yourself, you can ask questions, and you can participate in chat as well. During our session today, we will have a couple of polls, and those questions will appear on screen. And we'll also open the session to Q&A towards the end of the session. So if you do have questions, please feel free to type them in, and we'll take as many of them as we can today. So on to our presentation on digital transformation with HP Enterprise Cloud Management. I'm pleased to welcome Danny Cavillon to begin with our presentation.
So good morning all, good afternoon. Thank you very much, Milan, for the introduction as well. Today we're going to talk about changes. I think we all agree with the title of this slide. The world is changing. So from a technological point of view, the world is changing big time. New digital experiences and the explosion of technology. These are all factors that are enabled by new digital interactions. These changes are affecting the society in which we live, no matter where we are, on many different levels. It does affect us as individuals. As people, we are becoming more impatient, more demanding. We're having higher expectations as customers. We want transparency, we want connectivity, we want ease of use, we want speed, we want availability, and we want to be surprised. We want to be surprised with increasingly innovative services. If an application is slow or simply not appealing, well, we go somewhere else where the company can provide us a kind of level and quality and speed we're used to. But it's also affecting the world at business level. So greatest challenges is how to stay competitive for a business. How do I make sure as a business that I keep my customer base, or even better, how can I increase it today? So businesses need to react fast to changing markets. They need to find new challenges. They need to anticipate, or even better, as we said before, they need to exceed the customer's needs. They need to become more flexible, more agile. They've got to be able to quickly implement new products and new services. And as a result, new business models are getting to be required, and that needs a new level of partnership and trust as well. Now, time to value of new ideas has massively reduced. We see it everywhere, and that enables new players to emerge, disrupting traditional business models and leverage the explosion of this connected world we are getting used to. So every person and everything is now connected. We can think of lots of different examples. While preparing this deck with Mark, I thought of the 3 examples that I guess wherever you are, you cannot be kind of familiar with. The first one is television content. We are getting used to a very customized experience. We can see TV content everywhere, on our mobile, on our tablets, on PC, and yes, even on TV somehow. So Netflix, for example, they learn what I like, and it creates a list of shows that we'll surely watch because it's based on my preferences. We're talking about a company that's been has so many customers, I think around 8 million customers in a matter of few years. Do you want to repair your car? Well, if you're like me, you go to a garage, but if you are a lucky owner of a Tesla, you might simply have to wait for an update. A couple of years ago, there was an issue with some of the Tesla models, and instead of recalling all the cars, they simply sent an update, just like we have on our mobile when we update an app, just like that. Then recently, I was in an exhibition showing some prototypes, and I saw a prototype of a new kind of shop window. And this window looks like a transparent screen. So it provides info on weather, on some news, some advertisements. It provides passersby with the prices of the items it displays. But it also counts how many people walk by and how long they stop in front of any given product. And it analyzes everything, all the data that it collects. It can even answer questions that passerby might have. How interesting, eh? So we're getting used to that. We're getting used to living in a place where data is important. It's almost like a currency. Digital wealth is almost as important as the balance sheet of a company. We need to collect, create, mine, and exploit this data. So most companies around the world, they've understood the need of creating a digital experience as part of their digital transformation. A digital experience defines the new market in which products and services need to deliver value. Now, in the digital experience, there's no distinction as such between human and machine-based interactions. Workflows and analytics work in real time to put everything into context and to personalize whatever service and product we deliver for every customer and for every process or business process. Now, this is translating to different paradigms. At business level, with new business models, these usually are sponsored by the CEO, but influences also the operation model. It needs to be more flexible, more adaptable, and more nimble from a business or a process perspective. Now, similar characteristics that we need to find to the new business partner, which is the IT. The IT model needs to be highly performant, always with an eye on the cost, like it has been so far, but at the same time, and even more so, on quality and time to market. So the IT role is critical. They need to interpret the requirements that the business has and drive a transformation of the infrastructure model to respond and meet these new requirements. Now, starting from the infrastructure and moving left to the business, the focus evolves from automating simple tasks, repetitive tasks, to orchestrate processes, to transform the way we deliver services. So in this world of automate, we are replacing low-value manual tasks that humans do with machine-driven tasks. And this is the key of getting a return on infrastructure model innovation. Now, these two movements, the business-driven and the IT-driven movements, are generating an area of creative tension between business drivers and technology innovation. And it's through this creative tension that we see innovation emerging. We see new operating models becoming a reality. I'm sure we all agree that if speed is not there, well, the line of business might decide to bypass IT and create what we know as shadow IT. They could quickly confine our IT to a mere cost center. However, When combined, IT has the ability to contribute to the business outcome and elevate itself, elevate the IT as a key component of the business value chain. Now, our focus is on enabling the IT to support and drive this transformation. So deliberately taking advantage of this new creative tension, establishing the agile environment organizations will need to succeed, allowing for new business model to come to fruition. So in a nutshell, we want to build a platform of efficient automation and responsive orchestration that we can deploy the next generation of innovative platform. This is the kind of IT that enables business model innovation. Now, at this point, I'd like to launch a poll with all of you in attendance today in the audience. And so we're going to open the poll. And the question is, who is responsible for the digitalization office in your company? I'd like to have a feeling of who's responsible for the digitalization office in your company. So you've got a few options there. Is it a business line? Is it at CIO level? Is it below CIO level? Or maybe you don't have one yet, or maybe you don't know if there is one. It's also an option. But just to have a quick feeling of what the reality is in this in the audience we have, within the audience we have today.
And this is Milan again. I'd like to invite everyone who hasn't weighed in yet on the poll to please take a few seconds to consider the question and provide us with your response. We'll keep the poll open for another 10 seconds and then we'll review our results. Okay, it looks like about 2/3 have voted, and here is what we have as far as our results. Danny, back to you.
Thank you very much. Can I ask you to read the results? Because I'm not sure if I can see them on my screen.
Oh, I apologize. They came off the screen. So we found that about 30% of the respondents had the digitalization office at the business lines level, and 33%, a third, at the CIO level. So those are the two primary. Below CIO, 10%. 23%, almost a quarter, said I don't know or we're not sure who or which function is responsible for digitalization in our company.
Thank you very much, Milan. Appreciate that. It's interesting. It's interesting data. So there's like a fight going on between who owns it, and it's not just the IT. It's the business has a clear saying on the matter. Very interesting. And I think it's interesting as well that some of you might not know where it is, and it doesn't mean that you don't have it. It's just because it's something in the happening. It's a very interesting discussion there to have as well. Now, where is the critical point? Well, at the application level, most probably. The app is the connecting point with our customers in this hyperly digitalized world. Companies are asking, what do I do with my apps? First of all, there's a huge number of apps in any given portfolio, and that's a common problem that we hear from our customers. Customers tend to have thousands of applications. If you look at the enterprise market, we're talking about 10,000 or more existing in our customer CMDB, running on over 10,000 different servers. So that's a very poorly utilized, high cost, not agile at all way of managing applications. Customers, especially the business, they want something cheaper, more responsive to their business needs, while still maintaining the controls that they need. And we mentioned that before when we touched upon shadow IT, for example. So the first thing to do is, what do I need to move to the public cloud? Or what should I launch as cloud native? Now we see that 15% of the applications tend to be in the public cloud. These usually are, at the moment at least, still mass marketing applications, gamification apps for loyalty programs, or brand knowledge applications. If you're talking about startup customers, then they must start looking at new digital processes as well to be in a public cloud. Large enterprises, though, they rather have that in a private cloud platform. Interestingly, 10% of the application, they don't need to change those applications. They see that they're very stable, they don't cost a lot, and there's no business case for changes. While 30%, they might retire or be replaced with a software as a service application to better invest money to what is more critical. So what direction to take is usually a huge question mark. While discussing this specific topic with various CIOs a few months ago, that was a typical question we were discussing. Which direction do I take? What applications can be scrapped or taken to a SaaS platform? Which traditional applications shouldn't be moved at all? They should be industrialized onto newer converged infrastructure to lower costs. Which applications should be moved to the cloud, but maybe they need to stay on premise, so private clouds. And for those applications that can get to the public cloud, where security isn't a big concern, which ones and where do I start? So these are all questions that our customers have. I'm sure that it's in the minds of some of you as well today. So this is a fair representation of a type of customer problem that our customers have when they talk about transforming to a hybrid infrastructure. But it's a question mark that needs to find some answers. The business and the IT are moving faster than ever before. The way IT reacts to this new pace is key. IT can no longer just focus on managing costs. IT must be able to deliver value, to create value, to deliver real business outcomes to their businesses, but also to their customers. And to succeed, business and IT needs to be strictly tightly linked to each other. So IT must shift from a cost center to a business value creator, to be proactive while producing and managing, while producing services and delivering new services while managing risks. They need to move from saving data to using data for real-time insight that allows unique customized experiences for customers or for citizens if you're part of a public company. They needed to move from software that automates business processes to software that differentiates products and the customer experiences. So basically, they need to land on software that creates value. And succeeding in this transformation is where HPE leads like no other company. So now, on this point, I'd like to hand over to Mark Bernice, our EMEA pre-sales lead for cloud and automation, to take us through how we are helping our customers and partners deal with big IT challenges and major shifts in technologies, and how we've been doing this for a number of years. So Mark,
thank you, Danny. Yeah. So obviously the first area to investigate is the 15% new applications area, in which really we have to rethink and create new solutions for being really linked in a very agile, very, let's say, DevOps-oriented applications for serving the businesses. So when we look at all this category of new applications, in fact, it will be really about agility, low cost, scalability, API-based and internet standard. What does this mean? This means that we will go for all the new stuff we are using and developing around the cloud. It can be, for instance, containerization and micro-virtualization of applications to get them more agile, using PaaS platforms, any solution which will really help, like DevOps, to really develop very quickly and very efficiency new application and services for the business. And this is an area we can use for also transforming the big elephant. The core IT, which is today 100% or 99% of the IT services and applications, which is today based on million lines and quantity of code, which is really immense. And the idea for this is really to leverage the knowledge customers are developing into the agile area to drive the transformation of the core IT to get it obviously less costly, but also more agile, componentized enough to serve also new applications, because it's very rare to get applications which will be completely disconnected from the traditional core IT backend. So moving the two areas, let's say the first 15% of new applications, kind of systems of experimentation, the way large enterprise can really develop new stuff, linked tightly with a transformation of the core IT is really the way to transform the world information system, short and mid-term, to reach the digital transformation and bring good value for businesses and end users, and also good control points and security for the IT. So when we want to implement this in HPE software, what we recommend is that really getting the big IT elephant in the dance. So priorities: being able to finance the new applications and new platforms, being able to really lower the overall cost of the traditional IT while making it more agile, being able to be delivered in minutes instead of months or weeks like it can be today. So for this, the methodology is always the same. The idea is really to get everything as a service and apply a methodology in which discussing with businesses, understanding which are the top priorities for transformation, then making a transformation plan for moving all of these applications, all of these components in a more efficient cloud way. And for this, really going to a single design, consumable through a single portal or API, which will really offer any kind of components. It can be the very traditional and legacy components like VMware virtualization. It can be the funny new ones with micro virtualization like Docker, but it can be also very traditional hardware infrastructure like commissioning a physical server for some critical activities on database, or going to public cloud like Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure. So that's really getting a single pane of control for all the components, all the kind of Legos we need to assembly into a technical design, and exposing them to all the possible consumers in a global IT. So when you go to this kind of implementation, what you will get at the end, in fact, in multiple phases in which you will move progressively components, technologies, applications, and also users and consumers, is really business workloads as a service. The idea is to handle the traditional workloads, mostly system of records, the area in which we modify the core data of an enterprise IT systems, banking transactions, manufacturing, orders, everything which is really at the core of a business. and which is today mostly on traditional or sometimes really partially on private cloud. The second area will be the system of differentiation, which is exposing the all of this data to users and consumer in a very efficient way, and mostly using any kind of technology which will able to present this data and consume this data from multiple devices and multiple user interfaces. The last one, which looks really important, is the system of innovation. So the way we will create new applications which will leverage all these new systems. And that is also really well represented in the HPE's multi-cloud strategy, which is really at the core of what we build in HPE software. What do we need? We need to take care of traditional workload, of traditional apps, and we need to transfer them into a more efficient way using all the resources we have. That's mostly traditional workload orchestration. On the other side, really on the experimentation and innovation, we have the cloud-native orchestration and the ability to orchestrate workloads, which will be mostly running on PaaS platforms or in micro-containerization. We have all of our resources, private or managed cloud, Docker, vSphere, OpenStack, any emerging platform, which will rely on some infrastructure, and then obviously the public cloud or any really public resources, which is sometimes very clever to add to a specific workload based on regulation and compliance of what we have to build. And the traditional legacy we have to carry on, but in a more efficient way for being able to deliver it in an easier way to all the consumers. So I think this is the good time for me to ask you a few questions around the category of application you want to move first into a digital strategy. So time for a poll to understand exactly which are your priorities in moving workloads into cloud and new and modern application framework.
And we'd like to invite all participants to take a moment to review the question in our poll. Which category of applications are the most urgent to transform, create, or adapt to your digital strategy? Core business applications, traditional applications, native applications, or new cloud-native applications for the core business, or even applications bought from a third party. So we'll just take another 20 seconds to get a sense of which applications you feel are the most urgent for your digital strategy. Okay, we'll take another 10 seconds for people to register their votes, and we'll compare the results in just a few seconds then. And here's our results. So we see that the majority of the applications are traditional applications that will be re-architected. Or I apologize. The majority is new cloud-native applications to the core business, followed by traditional applications as the next highest category. And so, Mark, any comments on those numbers?
That's a very interesting result, because PaaS platform and cloud-native applications are really at the early beginning in enterprises, and there is already a big focus on this. I like also to see that there is an interesting focus in re-architecting traditional apps, which can be a quicker maybe way to transform traditional apps, but creating new applications for core business is a top priority for large customers. Thank you. So next slide, please. So for running this transformation, being able really to handle any kind of applications in this new digital environment, we created in HPE software the Alien Cloud Suite. And the Alien Cloud Suite is mostly based on 5 main use cases. The first one is to provide really a single place for ordering any kind of IT services, from a super modern API pass to a simple laptop for somebody who needs a laptop for working or a tablet. So that's really being able to deal with multiple services catalogs, aggregated them, and expose them as a single service catalog for the enterprise users. The second one is really around being able to drive the cloud native transformation, being able to link with platforms like Cloud Foundry or OpenShift, being able to create automatically these platforms, enable developers and consumers to directly get their application instantiated in these environments. And this links also mostly to DevOps principle and the way we can completely integrate all the life cycle of the development, the testing, the QA, the deployment, the operations, and the control of new applications we develop in this environment. And this brings me really to analytics and big data. We leverage our big data portfolio into this suite to really bring actionable KPIs and understanding of what is happening in any of these activities, and how you can really drive the transformation of your IT through a set of metrics which will be collected and analyzed all across the stack. Cloud management platform, really being able to manage any category of cloud, is really at the heart of the Alien Cloud Suite. It's really the ability to take a component from any source, use it in a design, then publish this design as a service in a service catalog, and offer a full cloud consumption of all of these components. And the last use case is probably also one of the most important for being able to transform a global IT to a digital and a more agile IT. It's about orchestrating all the processes, providing a library of workflows and actions which can deal roughly with our very complex IT world, and remove the manual tasks which doesn't bring value to the IT and to the businesses, and make them really predictable in an execution of a cloud management platform. So that's really orchestration of all end-to-end items we can have in a large IT. Obviously, this is about technology, and technology is one thing. It will be okay for breaking the monoliths, the elephant into things which are smaller, easier to manage, containerized, really orchestrated in a very nice choreography to bring the value in a more agile way, very quickly, and in a more predictable and secure way. But it's also a big change from organization and culture. If you look, for instance, just at the DevOps perspective for being able to transform an organization and really deliver systems of innovation, experimentation for creating new applications which would bring value to businesses, changing the organization, cutting the silos, changing the managing lines to more empower people to their day-to-day activities while getting more automated control on the day-to-day activities is a big change for large organizations. And I think that's an area in which our partners really excel in helping customers to drive this organizational transformation. And obviously there is a big cultural transformation. Training people, changing the operating model from silos to DevOps, moving from a centralized governance to a service and application-oriented governance, mixing all the roles in an IT is a very interesting transformation, which is probably one of the first points you have to think at the beginning of a large transformation like digitization. And so what is interesting with this is to look what we did with some customers, and I will hand over to Danny to show us some customers' references.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks a lot for that. Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about an interesting experience we had with 20th Century Fox film. I'm sure we all know them. It's a global leader in the media and entertainment industry. Basically, they get revenue from producing, acquiring, and distributing movies and TV series. That has been put it simply. The entertainment industry has been significantly impacted by the digital age. We all know it. We want entertainment on demand. We want wherever we want we are. We want it when we want, and so forth, and on any device. So that kind of customer satisfaction need, along with new digital products that have been launched, along with the piracy issue and so forth, we're putting a lot of strangle on the way that the digital or the supply chain that 20th Century Fox had in place. The global distribution was core to their operation, and if Fox couldn't distribute its products, well, their revenue were to suffer. Now, to address that challenge, it was vital for the IT to take a leadership position and to manage that digital journey. We're happy actually to act as a partner for them. And together we created a new digital supply chain that they called the Fox Media Cloud, which is basically a digital supply chain platform as a service solution. This hybrid cloud platform supports the collaboration and distribution of lots of different things, marketing materials, broadcast quality TV episodes, and full-length movies, films actually. Now, I'd like to tell you what used to happen before the Fox Media Cloud was in place and the results afterward as well. So, for example, Fox, we said, distributes TV content. They do it over 800 broadcasters globally. Now, previously, before implementing this Fox Media Cloud, after a broadcaster and a Fox sales signed a license agreement, it took manual effort to check inventory for the licensed TV episodes. And if the episodes were not available, it took additional manual effort to manufacture each episode to the customer specifications. Then these tapes, physical tapes I'm talking about, for each episode would be shipped, and for each customer as well, would be shipped to the customer for their broadcast. Now, if you think about that when it comes to shipping, that means taking into consideration clearing as well for customs. So that was also an additional time that got wasted in the whole process. Now, today, with the implementation of the Fox Media Cloud, so after the licensing agreement has been signed, the entire order-to-delivery content process is automated using cloud services and metadata. So that means that instead of receiving tapes, broadcast quality files of each episode or movie is automatically pushed to the broadcaster's network for immediate broadcasting, avoiding shipping time, expenses, and and bypassing customs as well. Now you can see the business outcomes on the screen there. They're rather impressive, but I think there's more than that. There's other data that's interesting to mention as well. To give you an idea of what goes through this Fox Media Cloud, they've been able to add over 3 million assets in the content repository. So that means distributing over 150,000 contents every month. That's equal to 1.3 exabytes per year of content either sent, received, or downloaded. And that would allow them to automate over 70 digital media scenarios across their global platform. Quite impressive. And you can see the way they've been able to translate that into business results, millions of annualized cost saving. Now, this is just an example that I thought was nice sharing with you. But I do encourage you to go on this website and listen to other cloud stories, as we like to call them. Maybe there are some that are more pertinent to your vertical, to the industry you're in. I'm sure we can provide you with this tech afterwards, but if not, you just have to Google HPE Cloud Stories, and you get a list of lots of different customers. The logos on this slide, they're just a small representation of all the various customers we have in that repository. And if you don't like reading, but if you prefer talking to some of our customers, I invite you to listen live to our customers. Maybe share your concerns, share your challenges that you're facing as well with us or with our customers as well. From the 29th of November to the 1st of December, we're going to have the biggest customer event for Europe and Africa, and that's going to be in London. So you've got a link as well on this page that you can go and register yourself. There you will find both myself and our PMs and various executive management as well from HPE. But mainly you'll be able to really talk freely to some customers and share some challenges that this new world of digitalization that we've been talking today have created, and the solutions that we've been able to bring about for our customer success and hopefully for your success too. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for your attention, and I'll pass it on to Milan to open up to question and answers.
Thank you, Mark and Danny. So at this time, we'd like to open up the questions. If you look at your screens and notice the GoToMeeting control panel, there's a section there where you can type in your questions. So we'll take a few minutes here to go through some Q&A. If we'll go through as many as we can today. So. Yes, first question, and I guess this could go to either Danny or Mark. Where should our organization begin with digital transformation? I realize it's a broad question.
No, my perspective for this question is that really the first thing to understand is what in the application portfolio is needed, which kind of services and workloads need to be developed or transformed into a much more agile way. Based on this priority and depending what will be the results, you can go in multiple paths. But the two main ones are the following. The first one will be about really going to DevOps and developing new cloud-native applications, and probably that will be done in a separated team from the traditional IT team. With dedicated resources for building this and then operating this. So that's the first path, and the second one will be to go to the traditional IT and to identify in the traditional IT which are the pieces which needs to be abstracted, consumed through APIs, made more agile, and consumed by both users and consumers to be more efficient. And this will drive your priorities in implementing a cloud management platform project, exposing these components to the rest of the world in a consume way.
Thank you. Okay, next question, actually a couple deal with security. So question from Rob and Walt. So early in the presentation you mentioned apps in the cloud may require less security, and I guess that goes to the question of how to deal with security in such a model. Mark, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So that's first that security is always a very valid point in this kind of models. Personally, and this is what we see with, for instance, audits and regulation, making things automated, orchestrated with predictable results is a very good, in fact, security practice, which means that when we do something multiple times, the result is always the same. It is predictable, we know it. Then it is super important to apply to this kind of multi-cloud architecture the usual security best practices, getting all the events, being able to understand at any time what is happening. So it's really broadcasting the security in all these components, but as the build of the component itself is done in a very predictable, replicable way, you can enforce the security when the component is created. And then you can go to multiple security streams. Personally, for instance, I believe that being able to professionally security patch any piece of software across a cloud stack is something fundamental. And that's something we do perfectly with Alien Cloud Suite, for instance.
Yeah, maybe I'd like to add something there, comments that joins the two questions somehow together. We do offer a free service we call Journey to Value. So basically, we take a picture of the customer's current situation, and we provide with a map of different added capabilities towards the world of digitalization. And we take into consideration, for example, areas like security, areas like how do I become a broker of services, which application should I move to where, and so forth. And we can't really give a general answer to these kind of questions in some cases, because it really depends on the customer's situation, the industry, the history, that you had and the business objectives as well. Our customers tend to like this approach because it's based on value they get back. So every time we add one single capability, it's got to have a value attached to it. It's got to have a return on investment attached to it. And then we move on. Once we get to that point, we move on, taking into consideration factors like, for example, security. Factors like that some applications will never move to the cloud because of security issues, for example, and so forth. But it's driven by the customer. It's driven by the value it gets from us. It's not driven by us or by our products.
Okay. A question here is in regards to the merger with HPE and Microfocus, will your cloud management platform be continued and developed in this new setting?
That's a great question. The very simple answer is yes. So what moves to Microfocus is the whole concept of software as a unique piece, as a whole piece. That moves to Microfocus. And specifically, cloud and automation on the pillars, and the reason why Microfocus was so very much interested in acquiring our software business unit. The capabilities that our portfolio offers matches perfectly, which is great actually for us as well as HPE employees, the existing Microfocus portfolio. So we do believe that this combination will not only guarantee the existence of the hybrid cloud suite, but it will also enhance the functionalities and the value we provide or we give back to our customers. So yes, absolutely.
Okay, and we're coming close to our window, and I have a couple more slides. But we have one last question here that I'll throw out to either of you for a quick 30-second response. Big Bang will never work in telecoms. What is required to have a successful transformation?
I will state a good plan, but very basically, I concur with the question. Big Bang will never work. Not only in telecom, it's mostly in all large enterprise. So a good transformation plan with well-identified priorities from portfolio of services to transform and create. And then something like think big, but start small on a reasonable perimeter. Run your project as an agile project with multiple sprints and releases for bringing value very quickly to management and users. Okay, and I can say very simply, from a technology perspective, choose a very good provider, and HPE software for this is very good. And also from a service perspective, find the right partner and company which can bring you on the transformation path.
Okay, thank you. So we have 2 or 3 more remaining slides, and I'd like to go to those. And it's a shame that a few people have dropped off because the next one will be actually pretty profitable. Can you advance to the next slide, please, Danny? Okay, so Mark mentioned about HPE Enterprise Discover 2016 happening at the end of November. So in today's IT economy, this is ever so critical to network with your colleagues, other professionals, vendors, and especially members of the Vivid community, so that you share your experiences, get these kinds of questions answered, and there's really no better platform that I can think of to get as much knowledge and information from the source and from people who are doing what you're trying to do than at these events. So The nice thing here is that if you register until the deadline, I suppose, you can receive a discount on the registration through Vivid. So obviously, if you're a Vivid member, this is advantage for you. If others in your organization would like to attend, well then that's another good reason to join Vivid. And there's the URL there to learn all about the Discover conference and also to register for the conference. Next slide, please. And if you need convincing for your management on why you should be allowed to attend Discover, well, we have plenty of reasons for you to do so. The least of which is the Vivid community itself, which is powering the knowledge sharing at these events. But everything from hearing from the HP leadership, product management, interacting with R&D, exploring the transformation zone where you can see, touch, and feel and understand how these applications and systems can work together. They're all valuable and definitely worth the software. The investments to attend these conferences and user groups. And finally, as we wrap up, we want to thank you for attending today's webinar and for your questions. We would ask that you, at the end of the webinar, when you're prompted, to complete the short survey. Tell us what you liked about the webinar, tell us how to improve, and tell us what else you would like us to present for you in the future. And again, the URLs for both HP Enterprise and Vivid are shown below, hpe.com and vivid-worldwide.org. This concludes our session for today. Thank you all for attending. Thank you, Mark and Danny, for presenting, and I wish you all an excellent day.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.